Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm Bruce McCurdy of the Edmonton Journal's Cult of Hockey, and I'm here today with my COH colleague, Kurt Leavins. Hello, Kurt.
Hey, Bruce. Happy 16 in a row.
Happy 16 in a row. Holy man.
Don't think we would have said that back in the first quarter of the year.
Well, yeah, I said something along the effect of all they need to dig out of this hole is a 10-game winning streak. And I thought that's not impossible. They got the talent to roll off a few games, but 16 is kind of whoa.
Yeah,
But here
50%
we are.
real bonus, right? Yeah.
Here we are. Yeah, 4-1 win. The same kind of general score that we've been seeing for weeks now.
Yep. I thought this was their toughest competition in some time. I thought Nashville played really well.
Nashville played hard, and they played hard for basically 60 minutes. And I honestly thought Philip Forsberg was the best skater on the ice and was one of the finest games we've seen from an opponent.
Agree. He had 9
Very
shots.
long time. Now 14 shot attempts, but passing, setting up plays. If we were counting contributions to grade A shots by Nashville, he would have been in on a mittful of them. And,
yeah, he'll see Stuart Skinner in his sleep tonight.
Yeah, if he does sleep. So anyway, away we go. 2 good things, 2 bad things, 2 numbers, and 1 conundrum. And I'm going to have to think up the conundrum because it's hard to have too many conundra when you've won 16 in a row. But here we are. Anyway, let's start with the good things as usual. And Kurt, you go ahead.
Well, I'm going to start off, excluding the obvious, which is the 16 in a row.
Right.
I think a huge key in the 16-game run has been the historic success. I think we can say that, or at least in recent history, the success of Edmonton's penalty kill. It has been just tremendous as of late. They've only allowed 1 in almost 40 chances.
Yeah.
And they were a perfect 0-3 tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to pick out one player in particular because I think he exemplifies what's going on. A lot of people, when they talk about special teams, and particularly about penalty killing, they'll talk about X's and O's and what sort of setup you have in the defensive zone, and how you kind of rotate your top 2 forwards, and that X's and O's thing. I get that, and I certainly look at it and consider it as well. But years ago, a really wise old coach of mine said, Kurt, when it comes down to it, what makes you successful on the penalty kill is your willingness to work hard and commit. And I think among the many good penalty killers on the Oilers, I think the one guy who is obviously game in, game out, PK shift in, PK shift out, willing to work hard and commit is Vincent Desharnais. Here's a guy who, through sheer will, made it to the NHL. And now, seemingly through sheer will, is cementing his spot on this roster, not in no small part to his tremendous work on the PK. And as we mentioned, the PK was a perfect 0-for-3 tonight. Vinny played 312 of that time, so a big chunk of it. And in particular, of the many big and little plays that he made, I want to pick the rolling barrel block in the slot on that PK in the second period, which we often kind of speak to our strengths based on where we played. And I know you were a goaltender when you were young. I was a defenseman. And for anybody who doesn't understand it, the guts that it takes to make that particular play, because you don't know, A, if you're going to get the puck. B, if you do, you don't know where you're going to get the puck. And C, you don't know what else is going to hit you while you're down there. You are exposed to all sorts of dangers. It takes an incredible amount of intestinal fortitude to make that play, let alone have the timing perfect. And it just, what was great, and what I love about, I love many things about working at the Cult of Hockey, but one thing in particular is the passion and the intelligence of Edmonton Oilers fans. And I often think that when I watch a game at the Bell Center in Montreal, the fans there are so smart. They're really great hockey fans. Well, I feel the same thing about the overwhelming majority of fans that show up at Rogers Place, game in and game out. And after Desharnais made that rolling block in the slot, there was a huge ovation from the crowd. It doesn't take much to recognize a great offensive play and applaud that. But I thought it was terrific that the whole crowd picked up on that gutsy play by Vinny and paid tribute to him for it. So the PK has been a big story in the 16-game win streak. But the hard work and commitment and sheer will of the PK crew has played an immense part of it. And I think Vincent Desharnais is just one shining example of why it has been so good as of late.
Yeah, he showed lots of courage on that play. I mean, you talk about taking one for the team. Well, I think he took a few.
He did, yeah.
It was, once he slid out and made the block and the puck was underneath him and it looked like there was skates and sticks and everything kind of flashing away at him, trying to spear the puck free, or whatever. And at that point, of course, he's already sold out. So he's just got to kind of hunker down and take the punishment, but take it he did. And that was a standout defensive play. Oilers had four. Nashville had 6 minutes on the penalty power play today, and 4 Oilers played over 3 minutes, over half of the time. They were Matthias Ekholm, Desharnais, Matthias Janmark, Connor Brown, and all 4 of them were on the ice for just one shot by Nashville in over 3 minutes of 4 versus 5, which is excellent. Those aren't your most heralded players. I mean, Ekholm certainly is, but they're not, they're meat and potatoes grinders, the other guys, but they earn their living on the penalty kill, and they and the other penalty killers, to be fair, because Edmonton, as you say, some close to 39 out of 40 now. It's some ridiculous long streak where they've only given in 1 power play goal. And today, special teams were the difference. Edmonton's power play scored twice on their 3 chances, and this essentially was a 2-goal win by Edmonton, with the empty netter at the end. But the difference was the 2 power plays, or the 2, the special teams, was the advantage in a game that was 1-1 at 5-on-5.
Yeah, it's smart of you to pick out those 4 players. I'll note that the 3 of the 4 of them, Ekholm aside, Desharnais is your third pairing D man, and the other 2 forwards are fourth liners. Yep. So it's guys that are that relatively low down the lineup, having that big of an impact on a really important game.
Right, and the question came up today about, and it will come up again, who should Corey Perry replaced in the lineup. I mean, you and I had this discussion as our Conundrum last podcast, and Perry replaced, in the end, Sam Gagner, who, like Perry, is basically a 5-on-5, bottom 6 player with a little bit of chance maybe on the second power play, but he's not a penalty killer. Yeah. And the other choices were to take out someone like Brown or Janmark. Well, from this distance, I'm glad they didn't. Yeah, because those guys really helped in providing the victory today.
Well, and competition's a great thing, internal competition.
Oh yeah.
And you think about those, if those 4 forwards are in some kind of rotation, there's all kinds of incentive to leave it all out there, because they're thinking in the back of their minds, this other guy's going to get cycled in, and I don't want to be the guy to get cycled out. So I really think it really helps make your whole team better.
Yeah. Well, the other thing that makes any team better is fantastic goaltending. And that will be my good thing from this game. It's yet another wonderful performance by Stuart Skinner. And this was close to a stolen win by the Oilers. This is a game where Nashville outshot the Oilers 29-21, and where Nashville had, according to Natural Stat Trick, in all situations, 14 high danger chances to 6. And by expected goals, Nashville 3.5, Edmonton 3.1. So Nashville was expecting, well, out of the 3.5 expected goals, they got one goal. They dinged a couple of posts, and Skinner made a number of, I thought, sensational saves. And I mean, he made a save off of, was it Evangelista in the slot
Oh,
with his
that
blocker? It was incredible. It
the
was like
look on
a
Evangelista
four-way passing play.
afterwards, right? He had no clue how that didn't go
Uh-huh.
in.
It
Yeah.
was a four-way passing play. It was like one touch from high on the left side to lower on the right side to behind the net to right in the slot to one time slam it into the far top corner. And somehow Skinner was able to track it across and just get a piece of it and put it up into the netting. I was just gobsmacked by that one. And there was another fairly similar play in the second period where Ryan O'Reilly won yet another battle and made a centering pass across to Ryan McDonough, and he did not miss from the left circle. He got it right up and under the bar, and Skinner had to come all the way over and get a piece of that one again, deflected up high and out of play. Well, McDonough's shot was under the crossbar until Skinner got a piece of it.
Yep, he did.
And he basically had to come all the way over on that. And if there was one criticism of Stu early in the season, well, there was a few. But if there was one that was pretty persistent, it was his slowness on side to side, tracking pucks. Well, whatever problem that was is no longer a problem because he seems to be getting over and even on, cross the Royal Road passes and one-time shots, and he just doesn't seem to get beaten across the net anymore. So fantastic by him. And he stopped 28 out of 29. They actually got 29 this time after. That's actually the most shots the Oilers have faced in 10 games, I think. I think it's 10 games ago that somebody got 30 on them. And otherwise it's consistently in the mid to high 20s, but it's, the Oilers are doing a pretty good job of shot suppression. But in the third period today, it was 13-6 for Nashville. And there was none of this Edmonton shutting her down for the last 10 minutes like we've been seeing. This was Nashville bringing it, and Edmonton, challenged to keep the puck out of their net and reliant on their big stopper to make the big stops. And he did it consistently, and he finally was beaten on a kind of a broken play where the puck popped around and it was whacked right out of midair. It was officially scored as an 8-foot bat shot by Colton Sissons, who whacked it in and I think he even bounced it off the ice and then over Skinner's pad. It was just one that was, there was no time to react. You just try and block as much net as possible. And unfortunately, that time he found the net. But Stu Skinner, man, oh man, if he's got to be very high on the NHL's list of 3 stars of the month. I'll be shocked if he's not one of them.
Yeah, few thoughts on Skinner. I agree with all that. I thought he was named the game's first star, and I thought
good.
I thought he was the best overall player in the game. So that matches. Funny, it's his 12th consecutive victory, but it gets overshadowed because the team's won 16. Makes you wonder if there are any injuries if he gets a last-minute phone call for the All-Star game, because he sure earned it. Cam Talbot, who I have all the time in the world for Cam Talbot and how he performed and conducted himself in Edmonton. But Cam's going to the All-Star game having lost 10 in a row.
Wow.
So it'd be interesting to see if
it's not Demko, eh?
Yeah, right. So it'll be interesting to see if anything transpires there. I'll say this because it's a good pickup about Skinner being seemingly quicker and sharper post to post. I wonder if a little bit of credit is due to Calvin Pickard here, because it would have been very easy to play Stuart Skinner last game, because they're not back-to-back games. He would have had adequate. But when you can put your backup in and get a win from him like Edmonton did, your number one guy gets to sit and rest and recharge. Maybe that's one of any number of reasons why he is a little quicker post to post, is because he's getting rest when he needs it.
Yeah, well, I'm just doing the math. Just for the month of January, which doesn't include the shutout at San Jose after Christmas or the shootout win at LA. In January, 9-0-0 with 12 goals against in 9 games. So that's like 133 goals against and a 953 save percentage in
That has to
January.
be the best in the NHL over that stretch.
Yeah, yeah.
Surely.
Oh, yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
So, and since Christmas, if you did it that way, it would be even slightly better because he gave in 2 goals and 53 shots in the 2 games in California right after Christmas. So
Yeah.
that's, that's even higher than 953, believe it or not. So he's just been on fire.
It's pretty cool when you agree the best player of the team was your goaltender when Connor McDavid got 4 points, right?
Did they award him the assist on the? Oh, they did. Okay,
They
I
did.
looked at that replay over and over again. I thought, geez, Connor got that puck. I'm sure he was battling hard with O'Reilly, who is as tough a battle as there is in the league
No
in
kidding.
terms of board battles or puck battles. And I thought, like I was watching it live, and I thought, oh, Connor got the better of him and shifted up the boards, and then they originally scored it just Hyman from Draisaitl, but.
Yeah, they added it at about 5 minutes before you and I came on here.
So. Right. Okay. Well, that's good. I mean, I in our Color Hockey Grade A Shots project, I awarded McDavid a positive for winning the battle there.
Yeah.
Whether whether he touched the puck or not, he forced a puck to go in a good direction for Edmonton, and I'm glad to see they awarded it. So just as an aside here, in the last 2 games since Coach Knobloch decided to reunite the power duo or trio, depending on how you want to look at it. Edmonton scored 7 goals. McDavid's had 7 points, and Draisaitl's had 6. So I guess you can criticize him for taking away all the offense from the other lines, or you can say this was maybe the right time to be going back to that old favorite, and they, now they can all take a break for a while, and who knows, they could come out with entirely new lines after the rest here. It's really hard to say how they'll play that, but
I wouldn't be surprised if Leon is back on his own line against Vegas.
Yeah. And well, that's going to be the next game, Kurt.
I know.
Going for the NHL record. They're going to be coming off a 9-day layoff on a road game at the Stanley Cup champions, who also beat Edmonton in the playoffs last year. Yeah. How's that for a mountain of a challenge?
That's pretty good, doesn't it?
So what I don't know yet is whether Vegas's break is before the All-Star game or after. But no, it has to be before, I guess, because this game is right after the All-Star game, now that I think about it. So both teams will be coming off layoffs, I expect.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's that's in the future. In the present, we have to return back to this afternoon's game and each pick a bad thing. You go first while I think of what my bad thing is.
Well, it's funny, we had this conversation last game too, Bruce. It's difficult to pick out bad things when your team has won 16 in a row.
Yeah.
And so what I'll do tonight is I'll kind of fold 2 things into one. The 3-1 goal, it was pure unlucky that Mattias Ekholm lost his stick on that play, and that was a factor on that sequence. Fact of the matter is, what's that?
Yes, it was a factor.
Yeah. But the fact of the matter was, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins did have the puck on his stick along the wall, and I thought had just enough time and space that a quick backhand off the boards or off the glass, it would have been out. Now, I'm quick to say I understand that what we see up in the press box or what's televised is different than what the player on the ice sees. It's way easier for us. We can see things developing. We have a better sense of how much time or space there is. So he probably wasn't aware of that. But he just held onto that puck a split second too long, and it ended up costing them. That trio on the second line didn't have a great night tonight, particularly 5-on-5. Actually, they were kind of
smoked
rather badly. They're 5-on-5 CF for Fogle, Nugent-Hopkins, and Kane in 7:28 of 5-5 play was 3-15 for just under 17%, and scoring chances for and against were 1, 4, and 6 against. So I could count 2 or 3 excellent defensive plays that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins made in that game, particularly below his own blue line. I thought he was really committed defensively and was solid there. But the one mistake he did make ended up in the back of the net, and that second line on this night just happened to be the Oilers' fourth line in terms of productivity.
Yeah, they had their hands full out there tonight. Now I want to just check Nuge's opponents. And yeah, he got a belly full of Philip Forsberg as well in the 5-on-5 play, 5 minutes and 4 seconds. But also, Ryan O'Reilly, 4 minutes against O'Reilly, 0 shot attempts for, 6 against. And, they were on the back foot for a lot of time. I thought Fogle had sort of a so-so game. And Kane was all right, but not really generating much. Kane did a better job than he sometimes does at getting the puck out of his own end, which is a weakness of his, in my view, a lot of nights, but not particularly tonight. At least it's not specific to Kane.
Well, with Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, I do think it's a great tool that you can put him at center ice, and he's played hundreds of NHL games there. But I think that Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is either a first line left wing or a third line center in the NHL. I just don't think he's not the team's second best center. He might not be their third best center the way Ryan McLeod's playing these days. And so that's kind of why I think when Vegas comes around, I think Leon's going to be back at center, because I just think they're a better team when they go McDavid, Draisaitl, and Ryan McLeod. So.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm going to pick for my marginally bad thing. I thought Darnell Nurse had a struggles defensively in this game, and by my preliminary count, which David Staples will review all this in due course, that he was dinged for 6 grade A shots by where he was, one of the players directly beaten on 6 grade A shots, and not big mistakes, just they were just slightly quicker than him, and they were getting the puck around or getting the shots through. We had a loud pass, a loud shot, allowed pass. Nothing like missed assignment or bonehead play. We don't have a code like for that, but we should. But he just got beat by the quickness of, again, a lot of it was Forsberg and O'Reilly, who they beat a lot of guys. That's what they do. And so I just thought it wasn't like his A+ game, and still he got the job done on the penalty kill, other than that one time he was in the box for hooking O'Reilly. And one play that I really didn't like was when it was 3-1 and Edmonton had a great chance, Draisaitl to Hyman, and then on the continuation, Nashville hit the home run pass for a breakaway behind Nurse, and the play wound up getting stifled. But I just thought situational awareness there, when you got a 3-1 lead, allowing a forward to get behind you into open ice is not good.
I agree. That pair, as we know, and we've talked about many times, it usually faces the opposition's best. And frankly, I think Nurse and Ceci get the credit that they deserve for doing
I agree with you.
Night in and night out. But this night, they decidedly lost that battle. Just looking at natural stat trick, scoring chances for and against, 5-on-5. The guys, Ceci was 5-17 and Darnell was 6-17. So their findings pretty much mirror yours, Bruce.
Yeah, and what they have for For
Darnell,
for they have high danger, which it comes closest to mimicking our grade A's.
which was
It's
2-5 for Darnell.
2 and 5, yeah.
CC was also 2 and 5.
Yeah, CC, he doesn't get a lot of love, and you know, I wish I had $1 for every time I heard or read somebody saying we need to upgrade on Cody CC.
Yeah.
And I keep watching Cody CC in games, and what I keep seeing is him basically losing all races to the puck or sawing them off at best, but him sawing off the actual battle for the puck, him blocking shots, and him clearing loose pucks from the slot, which he's really good at, is getting pucks out of danger into less danger. And it's not sexy, you know. Peter Chiarelli would love this player, but you know, as a for what they paid for him and how the circumstance on which they got him, which was sort of short notice loss of Adam Larson. Good luck replacing that guy. Well, I think they did a not terrible job of replacing that guy. He's not the same greasy player, but in terms of effectiveness.
Oh, for sure. In my last 9 things column, I wrote a paragraph on Cody Ceci, and I compared him to the other 10 NHL defensemen who make at or around the same salary.
Right. Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, and took a look at their fancy stats and their plus minus and all that sort of stuff. I wouldn't take any of the 10 over Cody Ceci. And in a salary cap era, I think not only do you have to understand, what CC faces night in and night out in terms of quality of competition, but when you look at what you're paying, you can't have all your D-men to be, $6 and $7 million, in some cases $9 million players. Sometimes you need a $3 million guy who can do more or less the same job. And for my money, Cody Ceci very quietly does that most nights.
Yeah, and I noticed that the guy Edmonton had on a similar long-term contract, Tyson Barrie, that they traded to Nashville, was a healthy scratch in this game, and not for the first time.
Yeah.
When was the last time the Oilers even considered healthy scratching Cody Ceci? I think never.
Just again, and I have all the time in the world for Tyson Barrie.
I do too. I like his aspects of his game, and I like the man. But
yeah,
carry
me too.
on.
But what a trade! What a trade!
Yeah, that definitely tipped the needle in Edmonton's favor. And Bob Stauffer had a tweet about all of the stats that Ekholm's put up since he's been here, and it's just phenomenal.
Plus 41 or something since he arrived.
Plus 43, and now today plus 44. And if you're just counting 5-on-5 goals, he's plus 33, like 30. What was it? Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah. 60, now 70 to 37. So, almost a 2-to-1, over 65% of the goals scored when he was been on the ice have been going in the good net. So, anyways, all right, let's move on to numbers. And again, you go first.
Okay. I will pick Leon Draisaitl, who, with his power play goal tonight, the patented one-timer, worked to perfection. He hit NHL regular season career point number 800.
Nice.
I remember the day that Leon Draisaitl was drafted by the Edmonton Oilers. And I remember saying publicly at the time, for the first time since Mark Messier, this franchise has a chance to have a great, big, talented number one center. And I got a whole bunch of pushback on that at the time. But all these games and 800 career points later, I think that has proven to be the case. He's not a mirror image of Mark Messier, although he brings some of the same things to
Sure does.
Yeah. And when you listen to the company he is in, all-time franchise, of course, Wayne Gretzky at 1669, Jari Kurri at 1,043, the aforementioned Messier at 1,034, Connor 915 after tonight, Glenn Anderson at 906, and Leon at 801. here's where I point out that of those 6 men, 4 of them are in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
And the other 2 are headed in that direction, Kurt.
You got to believe
Very
so.
confident both of those guys will wind up in the Hall. I mean, McDavid, it's already done enough to get there, and Draisaitl, you can only assume he's going to keep playing and adding to his career totals, and they're already pretty impressive. And it's already got a
seasons, right? It's
Hart Trophy, Art Ross Trophy, led the league in assists one year. He's done an immense amount, and the Messier comparisons are coming a little bit more into focus in the sense that, like Messi can play center or wing. He's big. He's very strong in the face-off circle. He's got a mean stick, heavy, hard stick. He doesn't use the elbows to the degree Messier, and he isn't as filthy as Messier could be at times, but he's pretty darn hard on.
Yeah.
And he can be pretty filthy. Like, he uses that stick a lot, and it's got to be the heaviest stick in the league. That's not a goalie stick.
Yeah. Both men protected the puck exceptionally well.
Yes. Yeah.
Both have great leadership qualities.
Mm-hmm.
And both men, Leon doesn't do quite as much of it as he had, but both men were good penalty killers. So yeah, there's lots of comparisons to be made there.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, congrats to Leon for his 800th career point in 10 seasons. I mean, that's 80 points a season, just at first blush. And that doesn't count time missed to injury, 2 COVID shortened seasons. The fact this season's only basically half over. The fact that his first season, he only played half the year before he got sent back. And, so we've got a number of 100-point seasons, and it looks like he may well be on route to another one.
And how many different head coaches?
A few.
Right.
A few. So, okay, well, my number is 5, or actually not 5. And not 5 is the number of goals that Edmonton has scored in their last 10 straight wins. They haven't scored 5 goals in a single one of those games. Last time they got 5 was the 5-2 win over Philadelphia back on January 2nd, first game of the month. And since then, here are the scores of their game. Listen to the goals for, well, both. The goals for totals are not like off the charts. They're just pretty consistent, multiple goals. 3-1, 2-1, 3-2 in overtime, 2-1 in overtime, 4-2, 4-2, 3-1, 4-1, 3-0, and 4-1.
Oh.
Like, it's staggeringly consistent game after game. Oilers get 3 or 4, the other guys get 1 or 2.
It's the PK Subban, Bruce.
Yeah. Clearly, they're a 2-man team that can't defend very well, obviously. So anyway, yeah. Like, I thought, if you ever thought they're going to get a big winning streak, there's going to be a few games in there where they just, the puck's going in the net for them. They put 6 or 7 on the board, no problem. Hasn't happened once in the last 10 games. Earlier in the streak, there was a 7-2 win at Anaheim and 6-3 win at Jersey that started the streak. And otherwise, it's been low-scoring games at both ends of the ice. The Oilers get a few, and the other guys get hardly any, and over. It's stunning to me that they've had. There wasn't like one 5-4 game in there or something. Just hasn't happened like that.
You have to think at some point they're going to bust loose, though, don't you?
Well, I keep thinking that. I thought maybe Chicago would be the game, and
you and me both.
Yeah, and so they had to work hard deep into the third period to get to 3 against Chicago, and even the third one was an empty netter, But
yeah.
Anyway, and lately they have got a few empty netters after not having any for most of the streak, but they got one against Toronto, the Evan Bouchard curling draw to the button. That finally, because they were having all hell of a time trying to put the puck into the open cage, but they got one against Calgary, they got one against Chicago, and now they got one against Nashville. So that's 4 in the last 6 games that they put away. And even still, none of those goals was their fifth goal of the game. Is it the Japanese village goal light that you get for?
Yeah.
So
Reed will
Japanese
have to.
village hasn't been giving away free food, and the Oilers have been winning anyway.
Oh, that's fun.
So let's move on to a conundrum, and I'm hard pressed to pick a conundrum. So maybe let's do it this way. The team has got 8 days off. They're going to go to the Four Winds. I mean, Connor and Leon are going to go to Toronto and get a skate. Let's call it that. And the rest of the team is going to be off the ice for a number of days. And when they come back, they go right into the Lions' Den in Vegas on February the 6th. And if you're Chris Knobloch, here's your dilemma. What do you do? Do you do something that's different? Do you just come back and try and recreate things the same way they are? I mean, how do you get your team ready for the first period of that first game back against a hated rival with an all-time NHL record at stake?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Okay, so let me think about this for a quick second. Well, the first thing I predict he will do is I think he'll put Draisaitl back on the second line, in between Kane and Fogle. I think he'll bump Nuge back up with Connor. I think having Leon and Nuge on separate lines against Vegas is probably a good way to go. I have a hard time imagining him doing anything but playing Stuart Skinner after all.
Yeah, 100%.
We haven't talked about it tonight, but Corey Perry certainly seemed like a good fit with those two young kids on the third line. I thought they were really, really hard in the forecheck and made things happen out there tonight. So that seems to at least initially be a good landing spot for him. So yeah, it's a tough one. Chris Knobloch's MO has been to not make big changes for little reasons.
Right.
And so I suspect we won't see much in the way of a change, just because that's what we've seen from him so far. Oh, and by the way, he's got a spectacular record doing that. So why would he change now? So that would be my read, I guess.
Just play the players with the guys they're most familiar with.
Yeah,
don't be giving them any
that brought you to the hall.
Yeah, I think that's probably a fair conclusion, and maybe not that much of a conundrum. I will comment on Corey Perry since it was his first game today. A couple of plays particularly caught my eye. The one was the back pass he made from behind the net, where he came along the end boards and did the behind the back pass right out to Dylan Holloway, who was in the right place, but his stick wasn't. If his stick had been on the ice, that might have been a tap in. As it was, he just got a piece of the puck and it went to Brian McLeod, and he fired 2 shots in succession that were tough stops. And the other one was in the defensive zone with 4 or 5 minutes left in Vegas, pressing hard. And there was a play where the rebound came off to the right wing side, and he was down low in the face-off circle, and he beat the Vegas guy to the puck, chipped it sideways off the boards, went over there and collected, and just very calmly lifted it up the glass and out of the zone. And I thought, there's a guy who looks every bit the 38-year-old, 21-year NHL veteran that just has, I guess he's a 19-year NHL veteran, but it's 21 years since he was drafted. But he showed real good awareness and calmness and was under fire. Like Vegas or Nashville, as we've said repeatedly here, they kept bringing it.
Yeah.
And even after Edmonton made it 3-0, they never sort of mailed in the rest of the game. They kept bringing it hard.
Yeah. 2 more observations from me on Corey Perry. One was reverse hits in the Nashville zone, which I thought, oh yeah, that's right. This is a big, strong guy.
Oh yeah.
And
6'3", 208. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And his first shift on the ice is the one where he knifed right into the goaltender in the crease, which I thought,
2 seconds.
We've seen that before.
Yeah, I think literally it was like they had an offensive zone draw and the puck went into the crease and Corey Perry went into the crease and the goalie wound up going down and Perry wound up getting pushed out and there was this sort of general scrummage and chaos and
Yeah.
that's what he brings.
Well, and the whole Corey Perry and Perry villain thing, Edmonton's, I already sung Edmonton's fans' praises for one thing. I'll say this as well. I don't know if you picked this up. During the anthem, when they put Corey Perry on the Jumbotron on the anthem, everybody started to applaud.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
How quickly they forget.
welcome to the new guy. You're one of us now.
Yeah.
And we'll love you until you make one mistake and then look out. But okay, we got the first one's free.
Yeah. But I thought as a debut, he didn't look like a guy who had been sitting out for that long, honestly.
2 months.
I thought he fit in nicely. So.
Yeah, because his last game was in November, right at the tail end of November. But that's a long time for any player, whether you're injured or whatever the reason. Yeah. And he looked all right, and just that a little bit more depth and a little bit more, size and heaviness.
Well, I pointed out earlier that when you looked at shifts, Edmonton's third and fourth lines, their third line, their CF is 56 5-on-5, and their fourth line was just a shade below that. That's what depth will do for you, right?
Yeah.
Good players. When you add good players, other good players did get pushed further down the lineup.
Yeah. Yep. And they've got, I think right now you could say they got 13 NHL forwards and certainly 6 NHL caliber defensemen.
Yep.
And the seventh is in flux. Yeah. But let's face it, the seventh guy, the first injury replacement is in fact Philip Broberg, even though he's not here.
Yeah.
And oh man, Bruce Kulak posted a video of a play he made last night where he was standing still in the offensive zone and the other guy was breaking towards the puck and was closer to the puck. And Broberg came over from the left point to the right point to get the puck. Do a tight circle where he kept the puck on the blue line but didn't let it go out, and then came out loose on the left side and made a real nice pass in that wound up being an assist on a Bakersfield goal. And it was just the raw athleticism on this play was just sweet to watch. And I don't care what league that was you see that and it's easily translatable to this is skill that will work in the NHL or any level.
Well, for all of the criticisms of Philip Broberg in his career so far, and many of them have been fair, he can flat out skate. And not just speed, but his agility is excellent. And any player that can skate that well, you'll almost have to play yourself out of an opportunity.
Yeah. Well, that's what he showed on that play. And I mean, whether he's played his way out of an opportunity or whether he's just been brick walled out of it by, veteran players and older men and that stay healthy. Like 2 years in a row, he's been stuck at number 7 because the guys above him have basically been fixtures in the lineup.
Look at the 120 game run of this team with lack of injuries on their blue line.
Yes.
It's crazy that won't keep going. Knock on wood.
Well, you wouldn't think. Yeah. Anyway, I'm shocked that Broberg didn't get somewhere in there 10, 15 game run, as a regular in the top 6. Yep. And the closest he came to it was when they had 3 lefties and 4 righties, and he played third pairing with Evan Bouchard for a while.
Yeah.
Played well, but then they made the Ekholm trade, and all of a sudden he was back to being 4 lefty again, and he's still there. And those guys are just, play, their horses, Nurse and Ekholm particularly, but Kulak as well in terms of being an every game fixture.
Yep. Well, 16 feels good.
Yes, sir. It sure does. On we go. But in the meantime, we'll have a big break. Suggest we'll have probably Cult of Hockey podcast during that break, and maybe Kurt, if you're available, we can do one of those 3-headed monster
Yeah, that'd be fun.
podcast where we can sort of share our opinions on the bigger picture as opposed to zeroing in on the single game at a time as we typically do in our post game.
That'd be great because it's more or less the halfway point anyway, just
Yes.
a gate pass. So yeah, that'd be a hoot. I'd love that.
You know. All right. Well, we will leave that as a future promise to our regular listeners and watchers, and thank you for listening. And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast. And thank you again, Kurt.